bring about a certain level of change inside of our own consciousness. And when change occurs in our inner man, it's only a matter of time before it extrudes and becomes normal in our behavior and attitude and actions. Today's presentation, I want to talk a little bit about, some of it relates primarily to the kind of attitude that we must have as we corporately go forward. And as always, I want this to be highly interactive. I want you to ask questions where necessary. I want you to kind of make some input and have some secondary illumination. We're basically focusing today on the area of the Liberian diaspora. I mean, you are here in the United States, and there are other Liberian communities scattered all over the world. So let's describe the diaspora. The current population in Liberia is estimated about 5 million. And the reason why I put estimated is because up until this point we cannot get a more specific number. So it's somewhere around 5 million. Anyone in this room has a more specific number? Or are we right in saying about 5 million? It's around 5 million. And it is increasing. It is one of those nations where the literal trajectory points to an enormous swell in population. And the reason why there will be this enormous swell in population is primarily because though Liberia has no money, they're making babies like crazy. The average mother, the average woman is actually producing about five children. And so though they don't have resources and though the infrastructures might be bad, somehow these people are good at making babies. And I think a certain degree of wisdom must apply there. So given where the country is at the moment, I think it's a very, very worthwhile exercise to talk to young couples and to talk to families about the whole issue of family planning, because you can't be reckless with your future. You can't be reckless with the limited resources that you have. If you have small resources, then put some restraint upon your lovemaking. Is that straightforward advice? Put some restraint upon your lovemaking. Having 5 children and no money basically is bringing children into a world of great pain and also bringing pain upon yourself. So 5 million and the trajectory points to a massive swell. More than that, what I find was very good information is that Liberia has one of the largest youth population in the world. 60% of Liberia's population is under the age of 25. Now that's an important piece of demographic, because it speaks to us of several issues. Number one, if 60% of the population is under 25, there is an evident generational gap. And where there's generational gap, there is always the absence of the appropriate transfer of one value to another generation. That's what a generation gap is. A generation gap is when a generation emerges where the dynamic movement of information, mentalities, cultures, etc. is not effectively transferred to another. So there's a lump. And if you have such a large youthful population, we also have to understand that there is an enormous potential for frivolity and looseness and fetting and rivalry. That's what young people are. Young people are mad and crazy. Maybe your children are not like that, but the basic attitude of a young person is frivolity and insanity. So you're looking at what the country looks like. 60% of the population, basically, you have a very, very, very large component of fetting and merriment. The other thing is that it also speaks to us about where our target ought to be as well, where we need to focus our energies. We will be wasting our time. I'm not going to discount, neither am I going to minimize the role of the elders in our society. But if we have a demographic that has over 50% being young people, if you point all of your energies to speak to and try to empower a generation that is on the decline and that is dying, then we are engaged in a failing effort. That's clear? Sure. So I was talking to one of the guys, not only talking, a very brief interaction, and he's talking about an initiative inside of Liberia, the young people. Very, very excellent undertaking. And I think more people need to sit and think about where the country is going. Understand the statistics. Don't be fooled by it. Don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it. Don't minimize it. But if you have such a large youthful population, then you are looking at problems down the road if you do not begin to speak to them in a particular manner, in a particular way. And so this is important information. On top of this I found was also important. Approximately 1/5 of its current population live outside of Liberia. So you have 5 million in Liberia and approximately 1/5 of the Liberian population living outside. That means at least 1 million Liberians are scattered across the earth. So if we're speaking about mobilizing a diaspora, obviously we have a 1 million population scattered across the world for us to reach. Be following me? Yes. 1 million. And why is it important for us to address and speak to the diaspora? We have initiatives inside of Liberia at the moment. We are speaking to leaders, we are talking to pastors, we are reaching out to the young people, we are trying to get the women empowered, we are speaking to people of influence within the society. And so there is a very deliberate effort to arise and build and speak to the Liberians in Liberia. But we need all hands on deck. All hands on deck means that we have the Liberians on the ground being empowered. We have Liberians outside of Liberia beginning to turn their gaze back to Liberia in a deliberate effort. And we are equally trying to raise up people who are non-Liberians who will possess a heart for Liberia in a real way. So all hands on deck means that we have Liberians in, Liberians from the outside, and you have people like myself who is basically a de facto Liberian. I don't care what you say, I'm a Liberian. So you better get used to it. I'm one of you. I'm one of you. Get used to it. All right? So whenever somebody ask you, well, how is it this Anderson Williams, he's not even a Liberian, shut them down. That brother is more Liberian than you. All right? So give me a couple of Liberian words that you can get used to. Give me something Liberian.
Forget it.
What do you say in Liberian?
Forget it, man.
Forget it, man. Forget it, man. Forget it, man. Give me another one. Something else Liberian.
What are you saying now?
What are you saying now? What are you saying now? We're going to get all that together. So the objective is to get all hands on deck. So us speaking to you and us trying to speak to the Liberian diaspora, it is more than just a matter of giving you a sense of awareness of your country. It is giving you a new sense of commitment to your country. There's nothing I said last night that you are not aware of. There's nothing I said last night that is alien to you. However, what I'm really looking forward to is raising up a company of people who will not look to Liberia with a selfish intent. Selfish intent means we have family back there. And most of our operations in terms of connection is just enriching and empowering our family, which is still a selfish intent. And if there are leaders here working back in Liberia, we are so fixated on our church and our people and our friends and our ministry, which is in some way still more of a selfish intent. So turning your gaze back is intended to look on a more holistic level, or to partner with us, or we partnering with you. And hear my language correctly. I am not talking about ownership of anybody. I'm not talking about having a boy in Liberia working for us. I'm talking about partnership. Let us do this together. Together. So there's a 1 million population scattered across the world making up the Liberian diaspora. So making an estimated diaspora population of 1 million. We said otherwise 1 million. And this is where they are. This is the map of the world. They are primarily, now they are all over. And during the civil war in Liberia, we know that there were refugee centers down in Sierra Leone. It had refugee centers down in Cote d'Ivoire. It had refugee centers in Nigeria and Ghana. And so even after the war, some people still lingered in those territories. And so there's a nice company of people in those areas. But before and after the war, they've moved into other areas, like you are here in the United States. There's a very large Liberian population in the United States, and you in this room, you are just a small fraction of the 50,000 of you who are inside of Minnesota alone. So you understand, we have work to do. We are trying to reach the vast number of Liberians that we can get their hands involved in this process. I have a basic theory. The work is not done until your hand is in it. The work is incomplete without your hand in it. Too many chefs spoil the broth. That's what people say. Listen, too little chef, make the broth nasty. I want all of your hand inside of this thing. That's good? So they are in the United States. They are also in Canada. The largest, basically what it says, the largest Liberian population in terms of diaspora is based in Canada. They are also way down in Australia. I mean, you think these guys traveling? There's a large Liberian population in Australia, in Ghana, and South Africa, and one last place inside of Sweden. That's where there's concentrated groups. Do you know of any area where there's a vast concentrated groups of Liberians as well? Where?
China.
In China?
Yeah.
In China, okay. I'm going to take note of it and I'm going to add that to my block right here. But based on my own research, China. Based on my own research, that's good. That's important information. What else?
South Korea.
South Korea.
South
South Korea.
Germany.
And Germany.
Yeah.
Germany and South Korea. That's important. We have to find where those concentrated blocks are. All right? And we have to find people in those areas. So if you have relationship with people inside of those areas, please direct them to us. Send them to George and or to Ruben. Let's build relationship. Let's give them a call. Say what's happening. Listen, we are committed to an objective just as much as you are. All right? So let's try to meet these people and form a massive network of these Liberians that are scattered across the world to turn their gaze back in a very real and deliberate manner. So this map that I put together here is incomplete. We have to add South Korea to that. We have to add Germany to that. We have to add China to that. So we're working on this, right?
UK.
When next I talk to any single one of us with this presentation, we'll have some more areas inside of it. So this is what the world looks like. So you see, Ruben and the other people who are involved in actually mobilizing a diaspora, that's the nature of the work. Now, with a diaspora population of 1 million, who improved the national economy by an estimated USD $300 million per year. Do you understand that all these people here, scattered all across these territories, they are here, they are there, they are there, they are there. They are scattered all across these territories, including what is not mentioned. Sorry that I had to do this all over again. We had to find a way to make it easier to go back and come back easily. Now, all these people scattered in these territories, forget it. They push in excess of $300 million into Liberia every single year. That's an enormous amount of money. So your little $10 you send back home, and the little $100 you send back home, and the $50 you send back home, on a collective level, the Liberian economy swells every year to $300 million. So I guess people like MoneyGram and Western Union can be saying, thank God for you diaspora people. And the thing is, every single time you send money through these money transfer agencies, a percentage they keep for themselves. So they walk away with a certain amount of benefit. This I find is also important. With a diaspora population of 1 million, the economy of Liberia improves every year by $300 million, primarily by money transfer, small investments, and so we have basically an immediate economic base. If you have a diaspora that's pushing $300 million back to Liberia, I want some of that $300 million. No, not with any selfish intent, not for me to buy a new car. I want to use some of that to build stuff in Liberia. You know why? Ask yourself, if $300 million goes to Liberia every single year, what do we have to show for $300 million every year? Do we have better roads? Do you have better houses? Do you have a better education system? So somehow that money is being misdirected. Because you know why? It's being driven by a selfish ideal. I send every year 3,000 to my little sister and aunt and she little daughter, and it absorbed in that little area. But if we could only look at this on a broader level, on a bigger level, on a national level, on a corporate level, on a collaborative level, we could put greater value to that 300 million that is sent every single year. Do you realize that's an immediate economic base? Yes. But as I said, the reason why it's not producing, it is being pushed in with a selfish ideal. This is from a daughter. Now, I'm not saying to ignore your daughter. I'm not saying ignore them. But somehow we have to begin to expand our perspective, broaden our view, look at Liberia on a bigger level and see how best we can put greater value to the assets that we are pushing into the country. All right? Not only is that a basic economic base, it is also an immediate skills bank. Those people, I'm talking about, and other people, the only reason why we could put $300 million back into Liberia every single year is because people have developed skill and income earning capacity. So if there's income earning capacity, there's a skill behind that, you know. I don't think that this money is being generated by some illegal means, some drug pusher or some drug lord. Somebody went to university, has a degree, somebody has a job, and if you have a degree and a job and some qualification, that constitutes a skill bank. Now, how can we harvest that skill bank and point it back to the country? So I am not just concerned about, well, you are Liberian, let me hug your neck and you give me $10. No, I want more than that. Your skills bank. So if we build wisely, the critical word is building wisely, and include them in our efforts, we have the capacity to do some serious work. Does that make sense? Yes. Any comment or contribution there so far? We clear on this so far? That makes sense, right? In other words, you break that down and you suddenly realize we have money and have skills. If we gather these people and give them a greater sense of a corporate intent, send money back to your family. But can we get a percentage of that to do something more worthwhile? Okay? Now, perception always defines your reality. This happens in churches, it happens in businesses, it happens in organizations, it happens in nations. However you perceive a thing informs the way in which you relate to it, including yourself. And I think I have that right there. However you perceive a thing, it informs the way in which you relate to it. If you perceive a church as a place where you shout and scream and jump and get a little emotional stirring for the rest of the week, it informs the way in which you relate to it. Yes. If you perceive your pastor, he is just there to shout and scream and make you feel something, it informs the way in which you relate to it. Yes. If you think your husband is just there to go and bring the bacon home, then it affects the way in which you relate to it. If you as a husband think that your wife is just there to satisfy your sexual desires, it informs the way in which you relate to it. If you think of yourself as just an average Liberian, living in America because you have escaped the hard life back in Liberia, it equally informs the way in which you relate to yourself. However you perceive a thing informs the way in which you relate to it. So that immediately says that we have to look again at Liberia, because however you perceive it informs the way in which you relate to it. If you see it as this broken down country that has no hope, no future, then your response will be run for your life and never look back. If you perceive it as a place of mission, a place of responsibility, a place of a mandate, it changes the way in which you relate to it. I'm not talking about, I'm going way beyond patriotism, because patriotism is not enough to transform a society. You can be patriotic, but that does nothing, Unless, of course, you see your role as a sense of mission, then your patriotism amounts to nothing. Hence, I told you, I am more Liberian than some of you. I'm not insulting you in terms of in this room here. Because to some, you just have a patriotic connection. I have a commission connection. Two dynamics altogether. And what I want is for us to shift our patriotic connection up a level to a mission dimension. It is my call. It is my responsibility. It is my mandate. This is what I live for. And that's what we want to make this a reality. Unless that happens in your heart, then listen, you will be late every time we have a meeting. You will always have a reason why you cannot come. Well, I'm going to make a little soup, so I really can't make it today. I need to make the soup. When this thing becomes a mission, listen, you will move heaven and earth. You will drive through snow. You will go through storm. You will lose money. You will do whatever is necessary to push this thing forward. For most people, it is not yet a sense of mission. It is just, wow, it's a nice thing, hallelujah. It's good to know that somebody's concerned about my country. You just given me a patriotic response. And patriotism, as wonderful as it is woefully inadequate to take this thing forward. Because with patriotism, you would stand back and just celebrate the fact that things are looking better and there's a sense of hope, but there's no commitment on your part to contribute to that becoming a reality. We have to move this from patriotism to mission. Can you understand that? Yes. Has to be amped up from patriotism to mission. And we no longer look upon our country where this is my country. No, this is my call. No longer my country. This is my call. This is the area of my responsibility. This is the reason why I was born. Unless you begin, and remember, however you perceive a thing informs the way in which you relate to it. Well, that is my country. I was born there, you know. I come from this tribe. It informs the way in which you relate to it. Good? You see, it is important, however, for the diaspora to know their place of relevance in the rehabilitation effort. Know your place of relevance. And place of relevance is what I just said a while ago. Place of relevance is shifting your allegiance from patriotism to mission. Shifting your allegiance from being born there to being sent there. That's a very important statement I just said there. Shifting your allegiance from being born there to being sent there. Because you can be born there but not necessarily sent there. So it is important for the diaspora to know their place of relevance in the rehabilitation effort. Failure to know your place of relevance in the work can so easily result in more selfishness, wasted and misdirected resources, more codependency, and more subsidizing of laziness. So you continue to send money back because I'm taking care of my daughter, but it's just more misdirected resources. And we would sit down maybe 10 years from now and say, listen, you know, every year, these Liberians outside of Liberia send $300 million back to the country. But what has it done? It goes into a spiritual black hole. It is absorbed, it provides a meal for someone, and then they excrete that, and life continues tomorrow with them looking for another meal. And there's no development. I said again, listen, it is important for the diaspora to know their place of relevance in the rehabilitation effort. Failure to know your place of relevance in the work can so easily result in more selfishness. Well, I'm building my ministry in Liberia. I build my ministry. I go there every year and I build my ministry. I send money every week to support my daughter, to build my house. More selfishness. Wasted and misdirected resources. More codependency and more subsidizing of laziness. Right? We have to see past this situation. And this is important here. Before we go forward, do you have any comments? Any feedback? Yes, my dear.
I'm sorry I didn't get to go to the meeting yesterday.
Oh, you were not here yesterday?
No.
We get this all the time in terms of, we always have to almost start again. Yeah. I have not been to a single meeting, even in Liberia, where there's one consistent company of people from start to finish, where you can build and build and build. And so I welcome you being here this morning. I regret you were not here yesterday.
Okay, my next question is, what took you to Liberia?
What took me there? You're asking a question we answered several times ago. And we answered that yesterday at the start. So what I would suggest is that you invited this wonderful sister. That question can be answered by this wonderful sister because we have to end at 2 o'clock today.
Okay.
All right?
The reason I ask you this question is if you would tell me later or she would tell me, this topic, have you really had this lecture with a typical Liberians from one group to another in Liberia?
We've been going to Liberia since February of last year. We've had conversations like these with several Liberians, yes. Okay, this conversation is like, now this literal presentation today is the first time we're doing this presentation. This particular presentation. But the very essence of it, we have spoken this to different groupings before. The essence of it, the very objective. And maybe the next time we do a presentation, it will be different. The content will be different, but the objective remains the same.
No, it's good. It is good because I go to Liberia too, but it's just a beautiful topic that Liberia, like you say, we don't look at the way it's supposed to be. We just always want to give, but we don't think that Liberia will be better tomorrow for us to work for ourselves. So if you are having this conversation also in Liberia, that's good.
Yeah.
Not just here, but in Liberia.
Yeah. As I said at the beginning, we're trying to get all hands on deck.
Okay.
Liberians in Liberia, Liberian diaspora outside of Liberia, and just people like myself who carry a general heart for the country. So it's like trying to get all hands on deck. Yes, madam.
Please, could you just go over a little more?
Yeah, we're talking, yeah, exactly. I guess.
Listen. There's a video. There's a video where we did a whole presentation. We did a whole interview. And the very first question is exactly what you are asking. How did you get to Liberia?
I will send it to them.
There's a video that George has. He will send it up.
No, it's
Yeah,
a good
because you're
topic.
gonna answer this question
Yeah, that question.
as you go.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a good topic.
Because you are more of a Liberian than some of
Yeah.
us that are sitting
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Okay, you can summarize it.
That's a beautiful topic, you know, what took you to Liberia and,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we got a video, we'll watch it.
In this meeting, let age speak. I support it. Age speak. Age speak. Yes, darling.
You should start from the beginning and
Yeah.
go to there, the sun and ending, so I mean.
Okay, up top, mama. Good. Up top. Let's go. Let's so we've already given the basic context of where the diaspora is at, and the need for us to kind of drill into and harvest both skills and resources. And when we talked about the $300 million that's going into Liberia every single year, we are talking about more than just money. We are talking about resources and competencies. All right. Now, here's the important question as well.
Question. Question.
Yes.
It's
Question.
not really a question, but as she was saying, I think one of the things you're talking about is that if we are to help Liberia, you know, people in the diaspora, we have to shift our mentality here. And the reason is that I used to work with a bank, and I used to see a lot of, you know, incident where the Liberian have something they call a club, where people who work bring money together, and then at the end of the year, they share it, and then they do whatever they want to do with it. So one day, one of the club members came to my desk, and they had up to 300,000 in their account.
How much?
300,000 that Liberian who work and they put there at the end of the year, they share that. So I asked the guy, I said, do people trust you to keep this money, right? He said yes. I said, have you ever thought about taking the money and investing into a credit union to help strengthen Liberian yet? He said, well, these are the people's money, I can't do that. And at that time, I have done my research and found out to open a credit union, you just need 60,000 and maybe other government regulation. And so I said, but so what do the people do with this money? He said, oh, you know, at the end of the year, people share it and do stuff. I said, they are asking, I said, you see the bank that I work with today, Wells Fargo, 2 persons started this bank from a simple idea, and today they employ almost 250,000 people around the world. And it's almost the same idea you use here. He said, well, we don't want to talk about that. The people put their money here to do it. So what am I saying is that if we will help transform over there, we have to be transformed here the way we do things to be able to help people on that side.
I applaud that statement.
Yes.
If we have to transform things over there, we have to transform people over here. I'm holding to that, and I may rehearse that comment again before we conclude. And that's true. I think what happens with most people is that people are very myopic. Their sight is not as far-reaching as it should be. And more often than not,